I saw a review done recently on like one of the many X-Men books that came out in the last like month or whatever. But there was a comment where you had somebody say like there's too many X-Men books out there and it's hard to keep track of things. And for me personally, I'm kind of like, do y'all forget about the 1990s where we had all these different X-Men books? X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, Excalibur, X-Force, X-Factor, Cable, Wolverine, X-Man. And let's not forget about random special issues like this one right here, Sabretooth in the Red Zone. Now, this is kind of wrapping up the whole plot line that's going on with Sabretooth. And honestly, I like the book, but I kind of feel like this book could have been like a issue in Uncanny X-Men or X-Men. But hey, either way, we're still gonna cover it because honestly, it's pretty cool. You see, in the 1990s, when it came to Sabretooth, he was kind of going through this huge plot line in X-Men comics. Let me explain. You see, in the early 1990s, he had his own series, but in that miniseries, we had learned that he always had a psychic nearby him. Now, her name was Birdie, and when it came to Birdie, she would use her powers as a way to ease her mind, or ease his mind. But the problem was that she died, and so he no longer had a psychic nearby to help ease his mind when it came to dealing with his trauma. Now, when it came to Sabretooth, he went over to the school of Charles Xavier to kind of ask for Charles' help. But for Charles, he believed that this was the best opportunity to fix the mind of Sabretooth, which honestly was a bad idea. But after a while, you had the X-Men kind of realize there was no point. There's no way to actually fix the mind of this beast. Now, with all that being said, he was supposed to be handed over to X-Factor, but the problem was that you had Boom Boom get very upset with Sabretooth because she believed that there's a possibility that he might turn around and become a good person, but he had tricked her. And so you had Boom Boom use her powers to attack him, but unfortunately it had freed him. And so once he was freed, he said, you know what? I'm going out into the city. And this is where the book picks up at, where you now have the X-Men trying their best to hunt him down. Now, the first person to actually find Sabretooth is Caliban. Now, for Caliban, him and Sabretooth have a long history with one another. But also, let's not forget, when it comes to Caliban, he is the mutant that has the ability to track down other mutants. Now, for Caliban, he has a huge amount of hatred towards Sabretooth. And here's the reason why. Because back in the Mutant Massacre, you had Sabretooth be part of a team known as the Marauders. And when it came to the Marauders, they went into the tunnels of the Morlocks and had killed off most of the Morlocks back then. And Caliban, he was a Morlock. And so, unfortunately, he had to watch the death of so many of his friends by the hands of the Marauders, including Sabretooth. And so, ever since then, the dude always wants to get paid back against him. And so, Caliban was the first person to find Sabretooth. But the problem is that Sabretooth was able to easily take down Caliban. But that's the problem right there, because for the X-Men, they were using Caliban as a way to track down Sabretooth. But this kind of leads us into learning who's out there right now for the X-Men trying to track down Sabretooth. So we got Cyclops, Iceman, Archangel, and Jean Grey. Now for me personally, I'm kind of like, where is the rest of X-Force? Because by this point in Marvel Comics, X-Force and the X-Men were both living together in the same building. X-Force should have been there to help out the X-Men to deal with this problem. But hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and move on. Now, you also have Charles Xavier trying to also help out with this situation from the X-Mansion to locate Sabretooth. But the problem is that Sabretooth now has the ability to block out psychics. And apparently it's all because of Wolverine. Because when Wolverine had stabbed Sabretooth in the head, he did damage the mind of Sabretooth. But his mind was able to heal up to the point where now he's able to block Jean Grey and Charles from finding him. Now for Charles, he does get called up by Val Cooper because Charles was supposed to hand him over to Val Cooper in the American government. And so you have Charles kind of show us that there's something going on with his character, because to him, tonight will be the night where Sabretooth will no longer be around. Now, for Cyclops and Iceman, they do head over to one of the many apartments that Sabretooth had used over the years as a safe house. And so once they do arrive at his one apartment, you do have our heroes realize that he was there recently, but apparently he had been looking up different kind of travel plans by train, by bus, or even by, plane. And so you have our heroes kind of wondering where in the world is he going? Now, they don't realize that, yes, he did just leave, but he's coming right back. And so while you have Cyclops and Iceman inside his apartment, Sabretooth reappears and begins to attack our heroes. Now you do have Iceman being able at the very last second to save Cyclops' life by the hands of Sabretooth. But you do have our boy Victor being able to escape. But again, where is he trying to go to? Now you do have Iceman try to follow Sabretooth, but the problem is that you do have Victor being able to get a hostage. Now with this hostage, Iceman really can't do anything at all. And matter of fact, you have Sabretooth begin to give Iceman orders like, hey listen, I'm gonna walk away. I'm going down the subway and you will go ahead and use your ice ability to block off the path to the entrance. And you will not follow me because if you do, I will kill off this guy. And so unfortunately for Iceman, he has no choice. Now, he does ice up the entrance, but here's the catch because let's not forget, there's also Beast. And so once you have Victor being able to get on the train, he's then confronted by Beast. Now, technically for Beast, he should be able to kind of hold his own against Sabretooth long enough to allow the rest of the team to catch up. But here's the thing, because for Beast, he also wants to know, like, what is Sabretooth's end goal here? Now, for Sabretooth, we kind of get the idea that, yes, he wants to travel, but also he wants to kind of hurt the image of the X-Men because what the X-Men stand for. The whole idea of mutants and humans trying to live together in harmony, that mutants who are bad can slowly be turned into good people like Wolverine, Gambit, and also Rogue. But either way, you do have Sabretooth being able to get away from Beast as soon as Jean Grey and Cyclops and Iceman are able to catch up to kind of help out. Now, the last person who could possibly slow down Sabretooth would most likely be Archangel. But here's the thing about Archangel though, because he's very upset with Sabretooth because in our last X-Men video, Psylocke got badly injured by him. And so we were kind of left to believe that she had possibly died by the hands of Sabretooth. And matter of fact, the next X-Men video we do should kind of figure out what's going to happen to Psylocke after her injury done by Sabretooth. But for Archangel, we also have to remember that he was changed by Apocalypse. And so it's him saying like, listen, I am not really scared with the idea of killing you off. But for Sabretooth, he knows that Archangel will not do it. He does not have the guts to actually kill off somebody. And so because of that, you have Sabretooth being able to take the advantage over Archangel and begins to rip apart his wings. And you have the two characters crash into a nearby water tower. Now for Val Cooper and also the government, they have sent in a team of soldiers to kind of basically go after Sabretooth to hopefully bring him down. Now Trish Tilby, she is reporting what's happening in the city, and she's also kind of expressing her concern right now. If the X-Men are not really able to stop Sabretooth, then who can? Now Val Cooper told Charles Xavier earlier that she has the Avengers on the sideline ready to help out with this situation. Now don't worry, we're not going to see them at all. But it's the whole idea of how dangerous this man is. But you do have our heroes kind of sit down and try to figure out like, okay, where is he going? And so they're trying to figure out what is his end goal, right? And then kind of realize that he wants to spit on the image of what the X-Men stand for, but to also make Charles Xavier pay back for everything he did to him. Because for Sabretooth, he hated the idea of being locked away, but also he hates the idea that there are other people out there being able to have a chance to at least grow up with the idea of being a mutant, but still have the possibility of a normal life. And so once you have our heroes kind of sit down and realize where he's going, they're kind of like, oh my God, he's going after Jubilee. He's going after Generation X, because that is the best way to get back at Charles Xavier. He locked away Sabretooth, tried to make Sabretooth pay for the crimes that he had committed, but also try to change the man as well. And for Victor, that was not okay at all. So how can I hurt you? Oh, I know. I'll go after your brand new team, these young mutants, but also Jubilee and her connection to Wolverine. Now, the rest of this issue is really going to be more of the idea of watching the X-Men fighting against Sabretooth, but at the same time trying to convince him to just stop. Like, don't do this, because technically he's going to lose. He is completely surrounded. You have the X-Men, you have the government forces there alongside with Val Cooper. But for Sabretooth, he's trying to make a point here that what the X-Men stand for is completely stupid. It doesn't make any sense at all to him. The whole idea of mutants and humans trying to live together in harmony. Oh, we can turn bad mutants into good mutants. It just won't work for him. That what he is what he is. That technically what he stands for is the failure of the X-Men. You were able to fix Gambit. You were able to fix Wolverine and Rogue, but you can't fix me. Now, there is a point where you do have Cyclops knock him out to allow the soldiers to take him away. But then you have Victor grab one of the guns to force the soldier to shoot him. And so in his last dying breath, he grabs the symbol of the X-Men that fell off most likely Cyclops' outfit and holds it up in the air to kind of show once again that he is spitting on the image of the X-Men. And we're kind of left to believe that he is now officially dead. But this is where we're going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see you all next time. Later.